Hello there, my gorgeous friends of the internet. So I am back again with another tutorial, and so what we are gonna be building today is this. We're gonna be using Mapbox directions API and React.js, and so we're gonna be enabling this functionality where a user can basically just get the directions from where he is situated. Of course, right now we haven't implemented that geolocation control tool functionality, but the gist of it is that we're gonna be getting this dynamic rendering where we'll be using the directions API to sort of deliver to us the directions or the coordinates, and we're gonna be loading that up using Geojson. So yeah, and I already have sort of a simple website going. This is just dummy, it doesn't do anything. So yeah, let's get into it. So I'm just gonna delete all this. I delete that, and so we are gonna be creating a new project. And to start us off, of course, what we need is you're gonna go ahead and log into your, or sign up if you don't have an account. You're gonna sign up into your Mapbox account, and the one thing that you're gonna need, of course, is the public token. We're gonna be utilizing that. It's okay, I'm gonna change it, so you can go ahead and try and implement this, but I'm gonna the minute I complete this video, I'm gonna go ahead and change that so it won't be of use to you. So something else that you're gonna need, of course, is the styles. So for that, you can go ahead into your Mapbox Studio. Again, if you're new to Mapbox is just a mapping library, a client-side mapping library that just gives us digital maps that we can use in our front-end application. So I already have a styles layer right here, and that's what I'm gonna use. You can Mapbox actually has like different styles that you can utilize. So you can go into new styles, and you have all these options that you can choose from. So you can choose from streets, navigation. Actually, like this is quite slick. We have monochrome, we have satellite. This would look fun. It's actually like what is used by Google Earth, if I'm not wrong. And yeah, I think the base layer is like it's from Magza, so like it is very it has a very high spatial resolution. Of course, that is, if you're coming from a background of GIS, you would understand what I'm saying. But yeah, just go ahead and select one, and that is what we're gonna be using as our map style. Another prerequisite, of course, is that you have to have like a map a React app running. So I already have this. So just gonna show you how. I'm not gonna close this because it takes some time to fire up. I'm just gonna show you a couple of installations that we're gonna be doing. So the first one, of course, is you have to create a new React app if you don't have one. So you can just go ahead and do that with npx create React app, and you can call it whatever you want, or you can just install it in the directory that you're in. And what else? So something else, of course, that's completely necessary for this tutorial is that we need the React Map GL. And of course, in this tutorial, we're not going to be using the Mapbox GL.js that is provided by Mapbox. We're going to be using another library that is the library that you're going to be using is from React Map GL. And so to do that, we can just go into React Map GL, and yeah, in get started you can find the code. So you can go ahead and copy that code and go into your terminal and just install that. And yeah, with that you'll be set for what you're going to be doing next. So I'm just going to show you my package.json file, And so how this looks is that I already have Mapbox GL right here. Yeah, we also need to that line of code that I've shown you is going to install them because it's also a dependency. And of course, the most important is React Map GL. And with that, I think you'll be set. I don't think all these the rest are just you won't really require them for this tutorial. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and I guess we can get started. And let me just take you through the file structure that I have here, just to give you a bit of context. And so this right here is just it's nothing too fancy. It's just like a name. Big data. Okay, let me just, I don't know whether this, I think it's still up and running, but it shouldn't. Yeah, let me just start another. Let me just go ahead and find another one. Yeah, I think it stopped. Did it? No. So let me just try and reload this. But let me just go ahead and get another one running. I'm just gonna go and hit Control C. Like that. I'm just gonna clear the terminal and hit npm start. And of course, this is going to take a couple of minutes. So in that time, let's just go ahead and look at a couple of things that we're going to need for this. We need to understand, of course, for this tutorial. And so if you're not familiar with Mapbox, again, there are a couple of things that might catch you off guard. But a tile set, you can see here we have tile sets and we have data sets and then we have styles. So a tile set, the way I'd like you to think about it is, like, let's say you're using QGIS, and so you can export that that data, and you can just like load it up in Mapbox as a tile set. So that's going to be your layer. And the data sets in this section right here, you can also have basically the same functionality. It allows you to edit your data, but I don't really recommend using this because it kind of limits you with the amount of data that you can export. So I think it has a limit of 5 MBs. So I don't think that would be you won't do a lot with that. But if you use like a software like QGIS and then you export it, or ArcGIS, and then you export it, and you can also like just bring it in as a tile set. And so with that, we also have sources and layers, but you're gonna get to that as soon. I think I have an error. I think that's yeah, I definitely have an error. So let's see what's happening. Okay, so I'm just gonna go into, okay, oh yeah, okay, I get what's happening. So I can do a simple RFC. Okay, my image is not working. Okay, there we go. So let's do map, save that, and just let's reload this and hope that it works. And there we go. So yeah, so this was the context I was telling you about. And so it's not too fancy. They don't do anything. This is just frame of motion, the sliding animation that you've just seen. And yeah, this is just something to give us a bit of context to what we'll be doing. And so I'm gonna go into the docs of React Map GL, and here in state management, we're gonna be utilizing the control map. And so I'm gonna go ahead and copy this. Then I'm gonna go ahead and paste that in there. And I like to do it the old-fashioned way, so I'm gonna use state right there, and I'm just gonna do a bit of edit. And this is a control component. Of course, we're gonna be the ones in control of how the map renders with every move of the map, if that makes sense. And so what I'm going to do first is I'm gonna go ahead and grab my map styles, and I'm gonna be using this street map right here, and just gonna skip this. Okay, and here in share you can just grab this. Again, I said that I'm gonna change the public API key as soon as I'm done uploading this video, because I don't want any of y'all like using my quotas. So I'm just gonna paste this in here. And something else that we're gonna be using, of course, is the Mapbox access token. And for that, I already have a .env file in here, and so for that I'm just gonna go ahead and use that instead of like pasting the raw data in there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do this process .env that, right? And then lastly, in order for our map to render, I'm gonna use the style props, and for this I'm just gonna set a couple of things. So the width, I'm gonna specify it to 100 viewport width, and the height I'm gonna give it the same information. And so now if you go back to our app, I'm just gonna close this tab, and we have okay, export default map wasn't found. So let's just okay. So here we go. So this is going to be React Map Geo, and this is going to be exported as default. No, I'm gonna call this map. It's going to be map, and this is going to be React Map Geo. And down here I'm also gonna have to export it as default. I'm gonna have to change this also to React Map Geo, like so. So let's see whether they are. There we go. And so now I should have something loading up. I can check my console, and we don't have any errors. So there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, so we have this. And we also have a bunch of errors. Wow, okay. So trying to understand what it's, I don't know whether it's the same error that we were experiencing. So let's just reload this again. Don't think we should be having any errors. So yeah, there we go. We don't have any errors, and we have a map display, right? Yeah, so we can go ahead and look at, I guess we can now start thinking about the directions API, because I think if we have this, we shouldn't have any problems as of now. So before we do that, I think we should go ahead and do a couple of imports as well, because with React Map Geo, like I said, it comes with a bunch of we can use different components. So the ones that you're going to be utilizing are the full screen control, and of course with these ones they're just a matter of like plugging them in. So we can just go ahead and do that. So I'll come up here just beside the of course that was an export default, so these one are not defaults, so we can just go ahead and do full screen control, geolocate control. I think we can use the marker somewhere in this tutorial. And what else? Yeah, we can also use the source and the layer. So sorry about that. Yeah, so with that out of the way, we can just go ahead and implement some of those. So this is going to take in some children. So I'm just gonna punch this in right here. And the first thing that we can implement is the geolocate control. You're going to see this is just like a matter of just like putting them in there and then like they just work. It doesn't require a lot on your part. So it's just pasting them in here and you're gonna see them in action. So for now I think those ones will be enough, right? So we should have them display. Yeah, there we go. And also something else, and also like if I press this, it should also like take me to, you're gonna be seeing my location. And of course you're gonna need something else, the navigation control. So that is basically going to be in charge of the zoom in, zoom out, the likes. Yeah. So yeah, there we go. So I can zoom out, I can zoom in, like so. Yeah, so after that we can go ahead and configure this so that now we can go ahead and do our import for the directions API. And before I forget, of course, there's on a store you're seeing this display. There's another import that you need. I don't know whether I mentioned it, but you also need this import. It's a CSS file for the Mapbox geo directions, so you need that imported in. And what I have here is just a file that is in charge of storing, because I didn't want to type this out, but you're gonna be seeing that in action very soon. So it's just like a data repository of sorts. So now that we have a map, we can go ahead and think about implementation of the directions API. And so I'm just gonna go back and I'm going to Mapbox. I think I went too far. Okay, so go to account. And in the documentation, we can navigate to navigation, it's right here. And we're going to be using the directions API. Of course, you can go ahead and check out these other ones. Isochrone, I especially like Isochrone. We'll probably look at it some day in the future, but for today we're just going to be looking at directions. But you can go ahead and check out those other ones. And so in directions, we are going to be utilizing a few endpoints. And so in this tutorial, there are, of course, this is the URL, and we'll have these two, and we have the profile and the coordinates, which are required, and this is what you're going to be using, of course. And so the required parameters, one, we have the profile, and so for the profile we can have driving, we can have walking, we can have cycling, and I don't know whether we're going to have time to look at that, but the one that you're going to be definitely looking at is coordinates. And so with this, we can pass in, okay, it says that we can pass in a semicolon, separate a list of between 2 and 25. And in our case, we're only going to be utilizing 2 of them. So we're going to be having our start and end point. And so that is going to like allow us to get the directions, and it's going to give us the route from point A to point B, so to speak, right? And we're also going to be using another one. It's called geometries, and so in this show we're going to be using Geojson. And so I just like Geojson because I've worked with it in Google Earth Engine, and I just like how clean, and you know, I think it's the best to use in a digital environment. And so the other one is going to be the steps, and for the steps I'm going to be returning it's going to be a boolean, so it's going to ask us whether we want to return a step-by-step instruction in detail, right? And so let's go ahead and implement that. So I'm just going to go ahead, and we're also going to be using use state, use effect, and I think I'm going to bump up the zoom on this, so I'm going to set it to 7.5, and in here you can have we can write a function. So I'm going to call this get route, and this is going to be our sync function. I'm going to be using the anonymous function, so we can just go ahead and define we can expect a response, then we can await that response, and it's going to be, so I'm just going to go into here because I don't want to type out the entire, because it can take some time. We're going to call this fetch right here. Just going to control C it and just paste that in there. And so now we're going to define a couple of things. Of course, as you saw in the docs, we have this start, so it's separated by, so this is the longitude and the latitude of the start point, and the longitude and the latitude of the end point, separated by a semicolon. And so what we're going to be, other parameters of course are the steps, and we set that to true, and the geometry we set that to Geojson, and of course our access token, referring to the .env file that we had created. And so with that set, we're going to go ahead and declare a couple of states. So of course the first one is going to be start. Okay, sorry, just happened. There we go. And for this is going to be an array. So I think it's going to be 73. I'll say it 73, and this other one is going to be, let me just go, it's 38. Let's set it at 38 or 42. I think that's around New York. And then the other one is going to be the endpoint. And for this, I think I should set it like around the same location. So I'm just going to copy this. As the map renders, it's just going to be around the same location. And by the way, with Mapbox, you don't have to worry a lot about like the quarters. The directions that they had with Mapbox, it does give you a good number to work with, so you won't have to like worry about exhausting them, especially like if you're doing it for like development purposes as we are doing right now. And so with that said, we can go ahead and now use effect, and with this we can go ahead and put in our get route in there. And so of course we're going to need to pass this response. Now this is going to be data, and so it's going to be response dot JSON. So we're gonna pass it first, and then we can just do a console log so that we can see how it looks. This is also gonna be awaiting that. So you can just save that, and so let's try and reload this, and fingers crossed, hope it works. And there you go. So this is what we have. We have a status code, a HTTP status code, the status code of OK. And in here, in routes, is where we are mostly interested in. So in routes, it's an array, so we can go in there, and in the first element that it returns, we can get in there and we can go into geometry, and this is what we're interested in, guys. So we have the coordinates. So for the coordinates, since of course we are just rendering, well, if we can change this to, like, let's say, let me just bump this up like to, like, let's say 42 point, like, let's say 4, and I can try and reload this so that you can see what I'm trying to explain. So we still have it, and in routes, then of course you can see that the number of items that you're returning has increased. So it's the geometry that we're basically interested in, and the coordinates. So we're gonna, these coordinates, are gonna pass them into our Geojson, and it's gonna create a Geojson feature collection. So of course it's just a feature, but we're gonna use feature collection because you know, I just like how direct and simple it is. So we can just go ahead and use these coordinates like so. So yeah, aside from that, we also have the distance and the duration. So from point A to point, from the start to the end point. So as you can see, the distance is around 73 kilometers, and the duration, this, I think it's in seconds. Yeah, I think it's in seconds, and you can do the math of how long it's going to take. And in, yeah, so, and also in legs, of course these are the ones that we specified with the steps. And if we go into the first array, again we can still get the distance and the duration, but also we can get the steps. And so in steps, there we can also get the information of how to get from basically just point B to, from our start to our end. So we can have the instructions. So it says drive south, and if we go to the next one, we can have here the instructions turn right. So yeah, we're gonna be utilizing all that, hopefully, if we're going to have time for that. And so let's go ahead and get that data. And so let's see, let's try and get this. So we're going to go into routes, and then the first item in routes, and then the geometry. So let's see if we can get that. So data, this is going to be coordinates. So I'm just going to call this coords. It's going to be data.routes. Because we're going to be getting the first one, and then we're going to get the geometry. We're going to get the geometry, and then the coordinates. So the coordinates, and then here we're just gonna pass in that coords, and then we're gonna set our, we're gonna create another state, is going to be const, and then we're gonna just set to an empty array. So set chords, and so in here we're just gonna pass in that those values like so. And so let's just try and reload this, and hopefully we're gonna get something. And yeah, as you can see, we have that array being displayed here. And so these are our longitudes and our latitudes of basically the steps that we can use to get from point A to point B. And yeah, now if we change this to like the start point and end point, so let's just do that. So I'm just gonna copy this, and so if we have this, then we're also going to see, sorry, I just made a mistake here. So we're also gonna see that no, we're not gonna see anything, of course, because we need to import to bring in the source and the layer. So as of now, yeah, since we have that, I think we can go ahead and work on the source and the layer in order like to show where that layer is. And so let's go ahead and do that. So for the source and the layer, what we're going to try, I'm going to try and explain that, although they can be quite challenging, but even if you're coming from like a GIS background, because mostly what we are used to is like the two data types that are found in GIS are the vector and the raster. I think that's what like we are mostly used to. But when it comes to Mapbox, we also have other types. Like I think they're usually 6, but we also have vector. There's also raster, and then we also have, I think, video, image. We also have a DEM, a vector DEM. I think that's the name. I think, yeah, if you go into start specifications and then you go to sources, you're going to find that there. So basically, a source is just like the raw data that is responsible for bringing in that information. That information into our data. So as you can see, we have the type. So the different types that we have vector, we have raster, we have raster DEM, we have Geojson. And so for this, you're going to be using the Geojson, and we're going to be creating our own Geojson file. And yeah, and also something else, we also need to specify the layers. We're also going to be using the layers. And so for the layers, a layer is just the different items that we have on our map. So we can have, like, for example, we can have buildings, we can have water bodies, we can have schools, and all this information can be represented differently on a map. So we can yeah, that's basically what we are referring to when we talk about layers. And so every layer has to have a layer ID, so in order so that we can be able to like reference that layer individually. And so as you can see, we also have like layer types, so are specified here. So we can have a background. So in case maybe you're dealing with chlorophyll maps where you need like different backgrounds or different shades for each boundary, then you can utilize that. And I haven't really worked with Fair, but I think they're pretty much the same. And also we have line, and that's what you're gonna be using. So like roads and rivers, all of those can be represented with line. And see, you can also like import your own symbols you can have raster. And so in a raster basically is just an image, right? It's an image. I don't know how to explain this, but it just pixelated, right? Like let's say if you're dealing with you've downloaded like from Sentinel, right? From Sentinel collection, and you want to display that, then you can go ahead and use raster. And a raster, the difference I would say like between a raster and an image is that raster is the file extensions. With raster we can have TIFF, we can have GeoTIFF, but with image we have PNG, we have JPEG. And so with image you don't really have any spatial information on it, but with rasters you can have that. You can do some spatial processing with it. And so yeah, that's the difference. I think that's how I would explain it. So we also have heat maps, we have fill extrusion, we have hillshade. Hillshade, of course, you'll be dealing with it when you're working with the DM, digital elevation model. But yeah, I hope that you've gotten something. And finally, we have the styles. Now, a style is just a JSON. It is just basically it's how you can. Okay, how I would say you think of like a style. It's like a CSS file. Okay, I don't know whether this is going to make sense, but it's like the CSS, and then the source and the layer are like the HTML. And so in order like to sort of beautify it, now you can have the styles layer in there. Just yeah, that's how I would say it. So let's go ahead and try to display our route. And so we're gonna utilize the source and the layer component. And so in here, just gonna go in here and do a source, and this is gonna take in a child. And not surprisingly enough, it's going to be the layer. So the layer supplies the data, the raw data, and then the layer basically just styles it, because you cannot have, even if we have the source, we need the layer in order to display it. So yeah, in my geodata file, I've already sort of created a Geojson. So I'm just gonna import this. It's gonna copy that, and I'm just gonna bring it in. And where now should I have it? I think is okay. So the Geojson has a type, and the type is feature collection. We have the features in here, the type of feature, the geometry is, the type is line string. Then the coordinates we are passing, we are spreading using the spread syntax to spread those values that we've gotten from the API. And so these ones right here, so the ones that are being filled right here. And so with that, we can come in here and we can set the ID, and we can give this an ID of, let's say, route layer, or rather route source. And wow, okay, so I'm just gonna get a sneak peek. Just gonna go ahead into the API reference, and in source we can, so takes in an ID, the type, and the data. So I'm actually just gonna copy this because we are utilizing the same names. So I'm just gonna copy that in there, and yeah, so like so. And then the layer, for that we need a styles file and a styles variable. So So I have one here. I'm just going to copy this, and then I'm just going to copy this in here. So I'm going to change this to route styles. So it's color blue, the width is 4, and then the opacity I set it to 0.75, and the layout describing the structure or how it is displayed. So it's going to have rounded edges on the ends, yeah. And then so let's go ahead and see. And so we're also gonna spread that in here. And so how that is going to look is going to be, I think it's going to be an object. Then we're gonna be using the line style like so. And so now if we save that and we go to our map, now if we'll go ahead and reload this. So we have this already displaying, and the map we should have, no, but we don't see it, so it might be something we haven't done. So let's see. Okay, so we can just go ahead and we can add a marker, and so that we can just get a bit of context of where. So let's go ahead and add a marker. And so what the marker does is that we need to pass in the longitude. So the longitude is going to be our start, the first element, the first item. Then we're also going to use the latitude, and we're going to get the second element like so. And so let's save that, go back, and try and reload this. And so usually with Mapbox, there are default markers. So like the one that we're seeing on the screen, that's a default marker. And so we don't have anything getting displayed, which is, we can try and fix that. Let me just go ahead and increase this. And also we're gonna call this every time our end changes and start. So let's see whether it works now. And so we don't have anything getting displayed, which is interesting. Let's just go back, and I guess what we can do is that we can just go ahead and add an on-click handler so that we can determine where our endpoint is. So we can just go ahead and set an on-click in here, and so we can set that to handle click. So I can come up here and I can define a new function. So const handle click. And so this is going to be checking using the event handler. So I'm gonna define a new endpoint. So for this, we have there's a property called long lat in the event handler. So I don't know whether that's it. So let's just go ahead and console log it. Yeah, so there we go. But it's an object, so we are going to need to convert this to an array if we're gonna be utilizing it. So I can just use the object.keys and the map function to convert it. So I can do const endpoint, then I'm gonna use object.keys. This is going to take the objects that we have, and I'm gonna use the map function, and for this is going to be the code. I'm gonna pass that in there. Also need the R. I'll just call it item. And so I'm just gonna do this. New item. So what it's going to do is that it's going to get the first, it's going to create a new array with our longitude and our latitudes, and so we can go ahead and console log that. Although I'm sure it would work, we can go ahead and console log that, and also we can go ahead and set our endpoints to that point, like so. So just go ahead and reload this. Yeah, I'm also having like a slow internet. I'm using a very not so very strong. So as you can see, we have, as I click on the map, you can see that getting displayed. So I think the problem might be with, we might not be passing this as we ought to. So ID, route source, Geojson. Then where might be the problem? Where is the problem? Wow, okay. Let's just try and troubleshoot this. We have our source, we have the source ID, we have the type set to Geojson, we have the data, Geojson, and now if I scroll up, our get route should be working. Okay, so we have the driving. Okay, so I don't know what might be the problem though. Codes, okay. Let me just take a look at the. Okay, so let me just try and do that. I think that might be it. So let's just try and reload this and see whether it works, because it's already an array. So there we go. So yeah, that was the issue. I was passing in another array on top of the array that we had, and that is why it wasn't working. So yeah, so I hope we are together up to that point. And so right now, if we click to other points, we can see all this information getting loaded up. And yeah, so it's actually quite beautiful, right? And so what we can do next is that we can work on having decorating the endpoint. So right now you can see it's just like this, just like ends like that. So we can come here, and I already have defined another Geojson and called endpoint right here. So I can grab this and I can just come here and I can copy that in there, and can save that. And I think we also need to spread that like so, and we also need to add another source like so, and so this is going to be the end source. It's going to be Geojson. It's going to be whatever I called it, endpoint. And for the layer style, we're going to come here. I think I already have another one, so yeah, here we go. I'm going to copy that. Sorry, I'm just going to paste that in here. So go ahead and do that like so. And so we have that, and so we can go ahead and do what we did. So I can just spread that again, layer endpoint. Like so. And so right now we should have it pop in here, like, yeah, there we go. And so now, yeah, it's kind of beautiful. Yeah. And so with that, I think we've learned something so far. And so I think what we can do now is let's see. So we want to get the user location, so that every time this app fires up, we want to prompt the user to allow us to find his location. And then after we get his location, now he can choose any point that he wants to go to, right? And so let's go ahead and try to implement that. And so in the so I'm gonna bring in the use ref, because in order like to get access to some of these what do you call them, the methods that there are some methods that are hidden from us in the Mapbox, in the React Map.gl. So in order to access those methods, you're going to have to access the DOM nodes, right? And so let's just go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna do const, and this is going to be the geolocate control ref. So this is going to go into a new ref. So first I'm just gonna put down here. I'm just gonna pass it as a prop. So this should be the ref, like so. And we can just go ahead and now I can go ahead and pass it in the use effect, so that there's a method called the trigger method, and so we can utilize that method. So I'm gonna pass it in the use effect. So I'm gonna go into my geolocate control ref, and I can go dot current, and I can check whether it's loaded, and then I can get the trigger function. And so what this basically does is that every time our map loads up, it will trigger this this method, and so it will make the map to shift. It will cause the map to fly, so to speak, to the location of the user. And so, and also we can pass it in as a dependency, like so. So let's go ahead and give this a try. So we can reload that. And how this would work is that at first it's going to, of course, be where this initial map is. And so if we give it a bit of time, it's supposed to fly to my location, but it doesn't seem to be working. And so okay, it's not okay, so I've just clicked on it. So I guess what we can also do is that we can set our start, so that instead of having like a predefined start, we can set the start to where the user's location is. So in that case, my location. And so don't worry, this is not where I'm at. It's actually I have to set like the accuracy to high in order like for you guys to see where I'm at. But yeah, just around this location is not. In any case, I don't have any money. I'm not like I'm not that popular, so killing me. Okay, enough of that. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and set that. So I think I'm gonna use the on geolocate. Is it the on geolocate? Yeah, we have the on geolocate prop, and so that's what we are gonna be utilizing. So on geolocate, I want to set, so I'm going to take in pass in a callback. I'm going to set start to now. I'm going to set the start to the on geolocate has an the event handler brings it has. Okay, we can just go ahead and see that, but no, it's gonna take some time. So I can access this handler on geolocate, and I can get the longitude. So that is e dot coords dot longitude. So that is going to be the longitude. Then I can also get the e dot coords dot latitude, like so. And so if I save that, every time, and so also, since we are setting the start to where the geolocate to where the user is, then we don't need to have that as a dependency in the use effect, the start as a dependency in the use effect, because what it will do is that it's going to throw an error, because you can imagine the user hasn't set the end point, right? And so imagine like getting from Nairobi to New York driving. So that's not possible, because obviously there are oceans and lakes in between, so that data is just gonna get jammed up and it won't work, and it will just like throw a bunch of errors. So we can go ahead and try that, though I don't know, like I haven't tried it, but I think the logic of that's how it's gonna work. So at first it's going to be in the US, like so, and so it should trigger but it's not going to, because it's just moody. But I promise you that if you have implemented it the way I've done it, well, you can alternatively, you can use the onload prop on the map component. Then that will trigger every time after everything has been loaded up. And actually, I think that's the better way to do it. But let's see if I can just click on this so that we can trigger the on geolocate. So you can see it has thrown us some errors because it cannot read properties, reading at undefined, blah blah blah. And so as you can see, it works. So now my start point is in Nairobi, like so. So I can come in here and I can just remove this from my dependency array, so we don't need that, and I can save that. So now if we can go ahead and reload this again, we should have, I think we also need I can also go ahead and remove this. I think there's a prop for removing that, what's it called? If I can go in here, the geolocate control, we also have show the accuracy circle. Yeah, I'm gonna copy this. I don't want to display that, so I just come in here and paste that in. Then I'm gonna set it to false. By default, of course, it's true, so I can have that like so. And so now, if I geolocate, which will of course take some time because my internet is slow apparently. I'm using Airtel, by the way. Airtel can be really shitty, sorry to say, sometimes. And so let's just give it some time. And I'm also going to try and maybe remove this console because it doesn't look too dandy, doesn't look too good. Let me just remove that from. I'm also going to remove this. Yeah, so now, wow, it's really taking its time, which is alright. So I guess after this works, we can go ahead and maybe work on, we can go ahead and try maybe to work on the steps. And so now you can see there aren't any errors. And so now if we scroll in and we click on a point, there we go, nice and dandy. Yeah, so by the way, if you haven't visited Nairobi and you're like from America or you're from out there, man, you should. Like we really have the best of the best in this place. Like we have a national park, the Nairobi National Park, and you should like definitely visit it. We have like cheetahs and we have leopards. We have all these like things in the city. Can you imagine, like in the city? So that is just, and as you can see, like everything is like super neat. So you can visit like the National Museum, and so yeah, man, it's like really fun, to be honest. I went there like as a kid, and it was really a wholesome experience. Yeah, and yeah, definitely give it a visit. Yeah, so I'm just gonna go ahead and stop that, and we can go ahead and look at now how we can implement the steps. And for that, we're also going to implement some CSS. Not too fancy, but like let's go ahead and in this response that we're getting, we're also gonna okay, so these are the steps, so we can get the data we can get into the data. So I don't know where it is though. Let's just go ahead and console log this data. So console log data. So let's just give that a go. So there we go. So route is supposed to be that same the same way. So it's in legs, and then legs we get into legs, and we get into the first. Is it the first one? Yeah, the first one, and then steps. So let's give it a shot. So routes, we get the first element, then we go into legs, and then we get into steps. Okay, let's see if I can remember that. Perhaps all the drugs that I've been taking haven't messed up with my brain activity. I'm just kidding. So data dot routes, I'm gonna get the first element, and then dots. Is it steps? Yeah. Steps dot geometry. No, it's geometry. Dot coordinates, I think. So the first steps. Then steps, I get the first one again, like so. And then I get the geometry. And then I get the coordinates. Not the coordinates, maneuver. Maneuver. Do I know how to spell that? No, I don't, so I'm gonna copy it. I'm gonna copy it proudly. Control V, and then instructions. So I think instruction. Yeah. So now I don't know whether that's going to work though, but let's see. Let us see whether that is going to. Whoa, okay, what's not happening? Okay, so I might be having a bit of network problem. I think that's the problem. No. Okay, so let me just bring this up here. Perhaps that might be the problem. Okay, so something is not working. Let me just go ahead and do that. And let's see whether that's the problem. Yeah, so that's the problem. So we need to fix that. So I might be not following the correct route. So let's just try to get from there to there first and see whether that works. Nope. Okay, so let's try geometry. So geometry have this, so it's not in geometry. I don't want to get into geometry. geometry. Let's go into legs. Yeah, I'm just gonna like go ahead and like go into it like one by one, and so until we get to where we're going. So legs, we're gonna get the first one, 0, and just gonna clear that up. So after that, we're gonna get we can get the distance and the duration first, and then like convert that first. But let's see what we can get from this. So steps. Let me just get into steps. Steps. And is this it? No. So steps dot maneuver. Man, I can't spell that one. Maneuver. And it is undefined, so we have found it somewhere. We have done it somewhere. Where now? So steps. So there we go. We have this. Okay, so we have an array of objects. Yeah, so I think this is it. So we can get this array and we can store it in our steps. And I'll come here and define now a new, let me just call it steps. And I'm gonna set the steps to an array, like so, an empty array. And so what I can do is that instead of console logging this up now, I'm actually gonna leave that there. So I'm gonna set set steps to the steps. Yeah, and I'll be sure not to make the same mistake that I did. And then I'm just gonna save that, right? And so what it's going to do is that it's going to bring us this this array. It's going to return to us this array that has all this information that we can utilize. So we're gonna go into the maneuver, and then we're gonna get the instruction. That's what we're going to display. And so let me just go ahead and I'm gonna grab this. So these steps, and I'm gonna create now a new component. And where am I gonna have this? Okay, so I'm just gonna come down here and I'm going to import a new element, a new component. So I'm gonna call it instructions. So it's going to take in a couple of things. Okay, wait. So let's do it like article tag first. And so in here I can have, wait a minute. So this is not gonna work, so I'm just gonna return, just do a couple of things. So I'm just gonna return this. Let me do it correct. Just gonna grab that, and I'm gonna bring it. Now where is it gonna go? Right here, like so. And so that should fix our problem. And so now just tap this so that it can be neat, like so. And now I'm gonna grab our steps and I'm gonna map through them. So I'm just gonna call it step. Then I'm also gonna have just call it item. There's no harm in that also. So I'm gonna return, let's return a div element, and it should work. And so in here I can now return the instructions, like so. And so now I can get in there to the item, and I can go into maneuver, and then maneuver I can get the instruction. So I'm just gonna pass in item in here. I think I'm gonna call it a step, so I can go ahead and maneuver. Man, I can't maneuver. Let me just copy this. Maneuver dot, it's in maneuver dot, what is it now? Instruction, like so. And so yeah, and I can also have number, or you know, I can also have here I plus 1, yeah, so that we can just create a number system, right? So I'm gonna go into my components, and I'm gonna create this components. I'm gonna call it like that, and I'm gonna use emmet again, RFCE, and we should expect some props in here. So this is called, I think I called it step, and number, like so. So in here I can just do a simple, I have here an article tag, and in the article I don't know whether I have Tailwind CSS installed, so we can just like give this some simple styling. And in case you're not comfortable with Tailwind, it's like one of the most easiest things to do. It like, man, I cannot even like start to explain how easy it is. So let me just do a simple flex, display flex, justify. I'm just gonna do justify start, and set the items to center, and I'm gonna give it a gap of like, give it a gap of 5, right? And then I can come in here and I can grab this. First of all, the number. So I can do a simple div, and now I can have in here the number. I know a div is not like the menu, but I just like it like that. So, and then I can come here and do a p tag, and then I can also give it a bit of class. I'm gonna set the text to white, and the font semi-bold. Yeah. So then in here I can have the step, so. Yeah, so let's go ahead and import this. Import supposed to be instructions. Read instructions or instructions from like so. And so that we can come down here and I can just go ahead and now give this display of flex column and a gap of 2. And also I can give this like a background of dark, just slate 800 rounded of like large or medium, and padding X, we can give it some padding, so let's do a padding of 5, and the padding Y we can just do padding of like 3, like so, and we can give it also a maximum height of like, let's do 50 viewport height, and I can set the position to be absolute, right? Absolute, so that means that I need to also set my okay, so that means that this needs to be, I can give this a div or a section. Sorry, I like to stick to the CSS semantic rules, so just bear with me on that. So class name I can do relative, like so. And I also need to fix this, so this is this section. Good, so it's going to be absolute, and then top of, let's do top 5, need to be on that side, and also left 5. So let's see what we have. You also need to specify like the title. So it did not work. This is great. Beautiful. Just okay. So apparently it seems like I haven't installed Tailwind. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I have not installed Tailwind. That must be the problem. That must be the problem. In my package JSON, I haven't installed Tailwind. No, I have not. I have Framework Motion installed, but no Tailwind. Okay, so I don't know if I can do that. I don't think I can do that because of time. But as you can see, guys, maybe oh my goodness, this is going to be, man, come on. Sorry, guys. Let me just go ahead and do this real fast. Okay, we can no harm no foul, right? So let me just go into the installation. Today, don't worry, you're going to like get to learn everything, I guess. So in the framework guides and to crop, right? And so that shouldn't take long. There we go. So once you're here, you just basically, after, well, I assume that you've already so we've already done this. So I'm just gonna grab this like so. I'm gonna copy that, Control C, and I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna open the terminal with. I'm gonna hit Control and that backtick, the one that's just below the escape. Yeah. So now I'm just gonna end this session, or rather, and I'm gonna clear things out, and I'm just gonna copy that like so. And then, yeah. So it shouldn't take long. And while that is installing, oh my goodness, so it might actually take some time, but let's see what we can be implementing as that loads up. So we can go ahead and we have an error. Okay, so there's some, yeah, okay, so sometimes this happens, conflicts with the installed, with what is installed. I actually should get rid of this because I think it's this one right here. I don't think this is required because the day I did this I did this tutorial. It was the day I did this project. It was part of a high school assignment. I'm not gonna lie, and so yeah, I wasn't quite familiar with APIs, and so I thought that in order to implement it, we also need like some package for like implementing directions. But then after I forgot like to uninstall this. That's why we cannot install Tailwind. But man, maybe I can just go into my app.css and I will. But you know, I think since this is not like a CSS tutorial, but I guess like you now like know how to do that, so you can just go ahead and yeah, since we've ended that session. But as you would have seen that if we were to like this would have changed, right? And so yeah, I think I should end this right now, but I just hope that you've learned something from this tutorial. As you can see, implementing some of these things it's not that difficult. It's actually pretty simple. And so yeah, go ahead and leave a like, a thumbs up on this video if you learned something new, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.